Hello, today I would like to share a project that we built a couple of months ago, and that is to build a pergola. Pergola, I believe. So it all started with my wife and I. We were in the backyard, and my wife said, "Let's build a pergola," and I said, "Sure." So first thing first, I need to Google to see what the heck a pergola is, and I did not exactly Google for a triangle pergola, but because that's the shape that we decided on afterward, I just want to show it here. Otherwise, there'll be lots and lots of different kinds of pergola. So I went ahead and Google and found out what it is and what it looks like. So basically, a pergola is something that you set in a corner that has a lattice roof like this that you can have plants growing on top. So the next step is to go and get some lumber. So I went to the local Home Depot and get 3 4x4 treated lumber posts to use as the post, and a bunch of 1x6s for the beams, and a couple of 2x4s to help square the post when I set it. And of course, we also need to get some mulch, just because we always need some mulch. So we'll get all that. And worth of advice: always add a flag when you have things like this sticking out. Otherwise, you may get pulled over by the police. That would not be fun. So there's that. So I got the beam, and then I started digging. So the beams I got were 4x4 by 12, so they're 12 feet tall. And so they recommend that you have at least a third of the post underground. You really don't need to. So I actually went ahead and dig a 4 feet post, and add a couple more inches so you can have some gravel underneath as well before I set the post. And of course, the wiser thing to do is probably dig let's say a 3 feet post and cut the beam. But I'm certainly not wise, so I went ahead and dig a 4 feet post. It is a lot more difficult to dig a 4 feet post, just because 4 feet hole anyway. Just because as you can see, the post digger is almost the whole length of the post digger, so it makes it very difficult. And in order for the post digger to bite at the bottom, you need to make it a little bit wider on top, so it involves a lot more extra digging. Anyway, these posts are about 3 times the size of the post. So the 4x4 post is 3.5 inches. So these are almost a foot in width and in width at the top here. They kind of slope down a little bit because I don't think I can actually dig a straight hole down at 4 feet. Anyway, and also a couple more things. If you don't have a post digger, this is not going to work. You definitely want to use a post digger to dig these kind of things. If you don't have one, you can always ask a friend or a neighbor. Chances are somebody has one. Because or you can probably rent one at your hardware store, because or your tool store anyway, because otherwise chance of somebody like me who have to use this more than once is pretty remote. Probably once every few years that I need something like this. Anyway, and the other thing, so if you don't know the area where you're digging, I highly recommend you call Miss Utility to go out and mark utilities and cables and all those things, because otherwise you can inadvertently cut into those lines, and that would not be fun either. I actually know. I have done a lot of digging in the yard, so I know a lot about my yard. I know exactly where these things are, and I actually have a cable line running right here, like right just over the side of the wall over here. So I was very careful when I dig the first foot of this hole, because I want to make sure that I don't get cut that. And I also have a fiber line running right here. So this is like I want to get as close to those lines as possible without nicking them, obviously, but also far away from the fence line, which is on these sides over here. And because I wanted to have enough separation between the fence so that the grapes, which you can sort of see over here, can grow and climb on the pergola. So the next thing is to set the post. I did not take any good pictures of with me setting the post because it was dark at the time, but I will show you what I do in the next post. So this is the 12 feet post with about 4 feet of it underground and 8 feet on top. And I use Quikrete to set it, and then I pour some gravel on top just to level it out. And then, of course, the next step is not to dig more posts, but to actually figure out what we really want to do. Smart people would actually do this first. Instead, I went ahead and dig the post first and then draw up the plans. So I use a freeware program called SketchUp or SketchUp to draw these, and it's fairly easy to use. I like it a lot. I use it for a lot of my projects. So basically, as you can see here, there are 3 beams to make the triangle, and then 3 set of supports on top. That's the basic frame of the pergola. And between my wife and I, my wife wanted it to be low, and I wanted it to be a little bit higher. And so we came up with the idea. Well, I said we, but she came up with the idea to have it slope up. So in the back here, we'll have this as 6 feet, and in the front we have it at 7 feet. So those are the dimensions. And over here it's 8 feet and 6 feet. That's just what I draw up. The lay of the land does not quite lend it to that dimension, so this end up to be 9 feet, and this end up to be about 5.5 feet. After we draw that up and we all agree on that's what we want to do, I went ahead and set the second post. So another 4 foot haul. This is a few days later, because I think it was just the very next day. I did this on a Saturday, and this was Sunday. And so dig another hole, and so this is how I set the post. Well, first of all, you want the post to be plumb, so you want it to be vertically straight. So that's why you use these 2 bracing beams. That's why I get the 2x4s, 2 bracing beams, and at a right angle to make sure that, and of course a lever. There's my lever over here, and to make sure that it is straight. And then also the other thing is you want it to be pretty much parallel to the fence line here, and also turn parallel, because you can twist the beam a little bit when you set it. So that's why I have this 1x6 down here, just to keep so that I know that the beam is parallel, or the facing of the beam is parallel to the fence line. So that helps keep all these beams straight with respect to one another, and with respect to the fence line, so it looks nice. So with that, I pour out some Quikrete. It's pretty easy to do. You don't even have to mix it. You just read the instruction on the bag, pour it in, pour some water in, and you're done. Just make sure you have the right amount of water and the right amount of Quikrete. And I use 2 50-pound bags per haul here, so 100 pounds of Quikrete per haul. These posts are not going anywhere. And also like a whole bunch of gravel, so there's more than 200 pounds or 300 pounds worth of concrete and gravel in each of these holes. And then of course all the dirt are being piled up over here. And then that night was actually Mother's Day, so we went out and have dinner with the family, and then we came back, and I decided that I want to at least dig the last post, because it's in the Sundays, and because I really don't have time to do that during the week. So I went ahead and dig the last post and plumb, square, and set it. Now the last post is a little bit more interesting than the other two. The other two, you only have to make sure that they're plumb and facing the right way as far as the fence goes. But the last one, because I want to make sure that this is a triangle, I don't know any other way, so I resort to trigonometry to do it. So basically this is a triangle, and you just use in the formula, so a squared plus b squared equals c squared, and so you just make sure that I use a tape measure to measure this, and make sure that it is square. And with everything square and nudge in place, I slowly add a little bit of gravel to make sure that it is at the right place, and then I pour some Quikrete and set it. Also, obviously, you have the two bracing beams, and I just hung this ruler there just because, the leveler there, just because there's a screw there, and I just hung it there. And I was taking this picture with a flashlight, so it's obviously very low quality and dark. But this is what it looks like in the morning, and I already took the bracing beams out because it only took like 45 minutes for the Quikrete to set. Actually, in the back they say you don't even need bracing beam, but I'm not that good, so I'm always add the bracing beam just so that I can do things without the post moving around. So now I have all three posts set and plumb and square. So the next step is to see how it looks in real life with the drawing. So since I work alone, I don't really have much help in the way of holding the beams and all that stuff, and obviously I don't want to screw them in or nail them in for visual inspection. So what I do is I get these two little wood beam here. I think you can see it here, and I fix this one in at six feet, just like we decided, and fix this one in at 7 feet, as we decided. Now the 6 feet and 7 feet are not measuring from the bottom because the ground is not level. So what I end up doing is I actually use one of these 1x6 down here and level it first, so that I have a marking down here where the level is with respect to one of these common point, so that I can measure from that point up and make sure that it is 7 feet. So basically there's exactly 1 foot rise between this point and this point. Otherwise, if you measure from here to here, that may be, let's say, 7.5 foot, or I don't know, maybe 6 foot and 11 inches or something like that. Not exactly square. So I actually mark the bottom, the poles, where I have a level, common level plane, and then measure from that point up. So 6 feet to here and 7 foot to there. And I just use a piece of string to secure this. Well, not really secure, just to hold it in place, so that I can have a visual inspection and see if this is what we want to do. And since this looks good, we decide to continue. So I built the short side first. As you can see here, I also have the 7 foot little piece of wood over here at 7 foot, so that I can mark it and hold the beams up while I screw them in. And there was a 6 foot beam over here, but I already took it out since I already screwed this side in. And then this is the completed product. And as you can see, I also use a circular saw to cut these angle to make it look a bit nicer. And also, I just want to say that this is the first time I have a portable circular saw. It's really nice. I really like it. And I also get a portable not a jigsaw, but a like a sawzall, and they both run on 20 volt lithium battery, and it works out really well. I definitely have a lot of fun with those toys. Anyway, so this is one side of the pergola. So now it's time to set the next one. So for the next one, I actually cut a joint. Um, I cut a little joint on the top of these beam on the side, and then a little joint on the bottom over here. That's how these beams fit together. As you can see, it just sits right on there. Currently without any screws. I actually screw it in later, obviously, and make sure that the whole thing stay. But this whole thing right now is just being held up by the joint right there. So there's two joints, one with the front beam and one with the back beam. And I cut it so that the top or the corner of the beams here stay. So there's 6 foot over here and 6 foot back here where this beam meets this post. And then we put the front beam on and screw everything together, and also cut the top, the excess part out, and make it look a little bit nicer. And with that in place, we have a fairly nice frame to work with. It's time to go to Home Depot and get some more lumbers, because I did not get the 2 extra board. I needed 6. I only got 4 the first time around, and also a whole bunch of these 2x2 beams that I will use for the fan on top. And so here is with the beams, the front beams on. I have not cut the corners. I think you can. I'm not sure you can see it here, but I have not cut the little 45-degree corner over here. But they are on and secure. They also have notches, just like these. So both of these set of beams, both of these short beams have notches on top, and these beams have notches on the bottom. And that is where the sawzall come in really handy, because it allows me to cut all sort of weird angles here. And this is the other reason why I actually cut it in place and not measure and cut, because I just don't trust myself with designing all these angles on paper and transfer it correctly to the beam. So I just put the beam on here, line it up, and mark it on the spot and cut it on the spot. So as I was talking before, I have a common point down here, and then I also use these 1x6s as for that. So these are level. As you can see, the ground is not quite level. There's a lot more clearance over here than there is over here or over here. So the ground sort of sloped this way a little bit, and but from the bottom of these beam here to the top is what we measure. So from the bottom here to the top is probably a little bit less than 6 feet, and from the bottom here to here is a little bit less than 7 feet. And we also pick up these pre-made, I don't know what you call it, railings, I guess, because they were on sale at the Home Depot. So obviously I didn't have to make them. Make it a lot faster. Just fasten them into the side of the support beams. So the next step is to line up the fan on top to see how they look. And as you can see, it's been raining, so it's kind of wet out. We just line up the fan and see how that look. So make sure we have enough lumber for the fans. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We decide to use 11. Spacings roughly a foot apart over here at the place where it meets the support beam. And you may probably notice that this does not sit flat on the beam up here. That's because these two beams are parallel, and they have the same height. As you can see here, this one sit at the same height here. So the point of that is that eventually when I set these, I'll actually cut a notch on on the inside beam here, and then have it sit flat on here and secure in the notch in the second beam, and that way it doesn't move anywhere. I'll also cut a little notch down here as well, so that it sits flat with the back beam back there. And here is what it looks like from the bottom looking up. This is before the notches are cut. So we just want to make sure that it looks okay before we do that. Make sure the spacing looks right for us, and also make sure that it's just visually appealing. If we need more or less, we can adjust that before we cut the notches, because by then it would be a little late. So here is the top beams, or the top fans with all the notch cut and screwed down. So I'm not sure you can see here, but these have all been notched just a little bit, just so that the 2x2 sit flat with the bottom beam over here, and then over here there was about like an inch notch, just so that they sit flush with the top beam over here. And with the top fan done, I used the remaining lumber to start working on the side fan. And here you can see the grapes that I planted years ago that hopefully will grow over this and provide some shades. And I also went out and got 3 of these solar lights. They're for camping, and I figure I'll hang some of these up just to provide some light. And here is the completed fan with all the 2x2 secure. And here's the lights in action, and it's been raining. As you can see, there's some condensation in and out, inside and outside these bulbs. And that's one thing I didn't realize, is these bulbs are not waterproof at all. They're meant for camping, but they are meant to be inside the tent and not outside. So I actually ruined these by hanging them outside like this. The solar panels are great, and they charge really well, except that they are not waterproof, so they can't be used this way. I also cleared out all the tags and stuff on these, and get this ready to be stained. So this is how it looks from afar. Now this whole place here is just muddy clay. So the next step would be to put down the patio, so that we can sit here and enjoy it. And I didn't take any good pictures while we're building the patio, but the process is very straightforward. You basically level the ground a little bit, pour a lot of gravel and sand, and then set these pavers on top. So originally we were going to go with a 8x5, which is 40 of these pavers. But after we got the pavers, we decided we'll only use a 7x4 because it fit within the footprint of the pergola. And if you are doing this, I highly recommend a wheelbarrow. It will save you a lot of time and backaches. And because for this patio, I believe we used 20 bags of 20, I guess they're 40 pounds each, 20 bags of gravels, and then 10 bags of sand on top to have this patio level and dry. And then we set these 28 pavers on top, and these are just retaining wall blocks that we use all throughout the backyard. So we'll continue that theme over here. Now this is how it looked from a little bit further out. So you can see that the patio, it's not quite level yet, but we ran out of sand, so 10 bags of sand was actually not quite enough to level that. And so it's not quite level, but it's a work in progress, and we'll add more of that. And over here you can see part of the apple tree we got cut because it's keep poking us in the rib as we're trying to do all this stuff. So of course a patio is not ready unless you have some flowers and something to burn stuff with, and furniture of course. So we went to Home Depot and get this chair for I think like, I don't know, $10 or something like that. And we also order a bench that will go here, and we get this this, I don't know what we call it, fire pit I guess, and use that. And then the rest of the blocks, the paving blocks over here, as you can see over here, because we bought 40 of these paving blocks thinking that we'll do it in 8x5, we have 12 of them left over. Those we decided to make a path out to the patio so that we don't have to deal with wet grass or anything else like that when we walk over to this corner. And these will be set down. We'll need to dig the soil out and set them down, but for now this is what we have. Of course we have to christen the fire pit with some wood that we have around the yard. We have some branches that we need to cut down, and so definitely start burning. And as you can see here, I have set the 12 paving stone that we had extra, and some of the sod was cut up and put over here because these are bare spots over here that doesn't have any grass. So we put some of the sod over there. And my son was out there helping, so you can see his water bottle over there and his toy. And this is what it looks like with some new lights, because obviously, like I said, the old lights did not survive the weather, didn't handle the rain, so they're over here somewhere. I think that's what these things are, and get ready to be reused for another project. But we put some other lights on. These are meant to be outside, so it'll be a little bit better for this space. But then of course we realized that this patio is too small. The 7x4 is too small, so we went and make it bigger. So this is quite a bit later. I went back to Home Depot, got another 10 bags of gravels, another 8 bags of sands, and another 16 of these pavers because we need some more to complete this path, even though we only need 12 more for this space, and set this up. And also, if you notice in the previous pictures, some of these beams, because I did not secure the top part, have started to warp a little bit, so I just take a heavy hanging line and just sort of secure them together so they don't bend as much. And that's also where I hang the lights. And I also hang the lights all down the corner over here. Also have a hummingbird feeder over there just for the birds. But now this space is quite a bit larger. This will allow us to burn this stuff, and hopefully when our bench arrives we can actually have it over here and not burn our feet with this going. And as you can see, the grapes are very happy growing up on these things, and hopefully they'll just be all over. And this is what the lights look like at night. It's pretty cool that there's some light behind the hummingbird feeders, and it light that up as well. It's not a lot of light. It's just a tiny bit, almost like, you know, a moonlight or something like that. It's enough for you to see, but it's not like bright enough to read or anything like that. It's just enough for you to see, and you can use it to, I don't know, light the fire or find things, I guess. And this is what it looks like in the morning. And now this corner of our yard, which was previously unusable, it was just a whole bunch of glaze and muds and mulch. Now it becomes a very, very useful corner of the yard. We can sit and enjoy ourselves, and and just enjoy the weather outside. So that's our adventure with building a pergola. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and if you do, let me know. If not, let me know as well. And next time when I build something else, I will try to to document it a little bit better. Obviously, all this is after the fact because I only took pictures and did not record any of the building steps. Not that the building steps any complicated. If you have a whole bunch of screws and a screw gun, you can just put these down. And also, I put these topper on the post just to keep the rain from damaging the top of the post. And the whole thing is stained. I didn't do a very good job at it. You can probably see some of the places where I have some dripping and did not clean it up in time. But anyway, it's a minor thing, and if I really want to do that, then I can sand it down and stain it again. But that's not going to be for a long time. There we go. That is hopefully the first video on the channel, and hopefully you enjoyed watching it. I really enjoy building it. I love building things with my hands, and I just enjoy being outside and building things and just seeing things coming together in front of you. And it certainly helps that it gets the whole family coming out here and sit down, and we enjoy the yard a lot more than we did before. So once again, thank you for watching, and have a nice day. Bye bye.